Oh, hey guys. Caught me doing some investigative research for upcoming builds. Alright, so I wanted to make a video dedicated to one of my all-time favorite builds to do is a Corran Horn style lightsaber. So I have on this channel plenty of Corran Horn sabers that I've built myself. I have about 3 or so. A lot of them are just empty hilts that have been sitting on the back burner for a long time, but I still very much love building them. For those who don't know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of them out there. Very popular hilt to do, but also not a lot of people know about it. The Corran Horn lightsaber is a speeder bike handle inspired lightsaber. There's no definitive version of Corran Horn, Corrorn, Corran Horn. There's no definitive picture of what his lightsaber is. Now there is, some illustrations. Obviously the book cover. It's hard to tell though because this is from the novel I, Jedi. Corran Horn is a Corellian X-wing fighter pilot. This is Legends now, so I don't really know. I doubt it's canon. Although who knows, man? Look, fingers crossed for a Rogue Squadron movie that they, make him a thing. But in a pinch, he has to make his lightsaber hilt. And I'll throw up a description of what is described in Michael Stackpole's book. He goes through a paragraph. Corran's talking about how he built his saber. And what he uses is a junked speeder bike handle, a flash suppressor, a couple other things that he says he gets, circuitries and all that stuff from, he scavenged, he got together what he could for his lightsaber. I've just always been a huge fan ever since, really for me, how I learned about the hilt was Nick Cohen at Starfall Sabers. Nick has been building custom sabers for years, and I loved watching stuff on YouTube for lightsabers. It was my thing when I first started. I've been in the hobby for about 5 years now. This channel's only been around for about a year, but I've been building for, ever since 2015 or so. He did a Corran Horn inspired lightsaber hilt, and he was like, this is from inspired from Genesis Custom Sabers Corran Horn style lightsaber. So Rob built his, 10 years ago or so. And Nick did his, and Solo's Hold did their Maverick, their inspired one, and then I came along, and this was a couple years ago, and I was like, I really want to make one, so I made my first one out of all MHS parts, and I'm going to show you guys a couple examples of them, and how you can do them, and just general, what it takes. It's really not that much. There's not that much to it. But I had a new friend, Eric of Extronic Sabers. He reached out to me, and he had some questions, and I was like, you know what? I want to do a whole video on Corran Horn sabers. I have done, if you go in the past and watch some of the videos on this channel, I have a couple Corran Horns that I built and showed off. Definitely jump into that here also. So I mean, generally all it takes to make a Corran Horn style lightsaber is to just have, really you could do anything you want to, but personally I think it should just look like somewhat of a handlebar. Like that's pretty much it. The grip should just be kind of reminiscent of, like, okay, I could see that being a part of a speeder, because it's not 100% a speeder bike handle. It can be, if that was your thing. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy building the Corran Horn lightsaber, is because you can't tell me no, it's not one. It's because it's left to your interpretation, much like the Scrap Flex builds. There's no wrong way to do a Scrap Flex. In my opinion, there's really no wrong way to do a Corran Horn speeder bike handle. I have a bunch of them that I like to do. I have just, in the past, during the holidays, I took all my Saberforge scratch and dent sales parts that I had from the previous year. This was last year's scratch and dent, and I, for the longest time, scratching my head, and I was like, I don't know what I can make out of these, and then it just hit me, and I was like, I want to make some Corran Horns. So I made a few, and then I was like, well, crap. Now I've got like 5 I need to get done. My very first one that I ever did, which actually had a different emitter at the time, the very first Corran Horn speeder bike handle that I built, I used all MHS. So this thing was, it had a different emitter at first, and I'll swap that out and show you. This was the first emitter that I used. So I'll swap it out here in a second. But this dude was heavily inspired by the Genesis Custom Sabers Corran Horn speeder bike, which is all MHS. So MHS pommel, MHS body. I've got some MHS shroud materials that I cut off. MHS, and for those of you who don't know, I've said it before, MHS is modular hilt system from the custom saber shop. I built this entire saber out of the custom saber shop parts. So this is a claw holder style. A lot of us like to use this for kind of that bike looking part. And I like to put a little low profile red button on this one. And then I got two switches that are the activation LEDs. Sorry guys, this is so hard. The activation LEDs. Put this up. Got your activation and your auxiliary for LEDs. So I made a rubberized grip, which is just a tennis racket wrap, and then I scored it with the knurling section of my soldering iron. So it looks knurled. That was my way of getting around that. And it feels really cool once you kind of burn it with soldering iron to get that knurling going on. Then you got a little fake switch for the pommel, because realistically the handles usually are like that. You know, the bar goes out that side. You got two of them that you're riding in like that. Then I also have, see, this is so this is very heavily inspired by what I guess would be considered the original first one, I guess. I don't know. Rob from Genesis Custom Sabers, his Corran Horn. This one's actually knurled. I actually got knurling done on the body for this. It is very heavily, heavily inspired by Rob's Genesis Custom Sabers Corran Horn, his earlier models. And then, of course, one of the most fun parts about the Corran Horn lightsaber is the speeder bike sound font. And I got a silver blade programmed into that bad boy. So that was the first one I had, very first one I did, and you know, I loved it very much. This is very cool. It's still got a prism in it, so not exactly up to date on soundboards, but you know, this has got a lot of sentimental value to me. So I will hopefully update it one day, but I'm not really in a hurry to do that. One of the cool things about his lightsaber too is that it is a dual phase lightsaber, so it has 3 crystals in it, and Corran Horn will switch his little what do you call it? You know, activate dual phase by switching the aperture thing or whatever. I'm blanking on it, sorry, but it'll switch the alignment of crystals, and one of them will, the other crystal will change like the length of the lightsaber, which I thought was pretty cool. So this is what my very first one really looked like. Actually, it does look really good still. So I swap these out every now and then, but this was my very first one. I used a different emitter to try to not be completely similar. And plus it kind of just looked more like, to me, like a speeder bike. Like this part goes into a handle. But I really wanted to do the Genesis Custom Sabers emitter style on this one, so I swapped it out. His is different. My tracks are a little smaller, and again, that it's just a beautiful hilt, man. Rob did an amazing job, and he also did an updated version 2 of it, which looks even better. But what I did was I got this little tread part right here, which is, give me a second. So the tread part right here at the neck. His is a little different. I don't know what he used. What I ended up going with, and I've had people ask me about this little, the aperture ring, like, adjuster part. This guy. Mine is Tank Tread. A toy, vintage toy tank tread. Now, I lucked out and found this, but you can find, you know, I mean, use your imagination, man. This is just like some kind of rubber gasket type thing, and that's what I got to put on mine. So you got that one. Sorry, guys, I got a bit of a cold. So you got that one, and I put it on this one too, so it looks like the speeder bike handle. So I did that one, and I loved it. And then TJ Wells helped me in making the Solos Hold Corran Horn style Maverick. Now, Solos Hold did something really cool with theirs, and I was just a huge fan of. They took the actual speeder bike handle from a speeder bike, an Imperial bike, from Endor, Return of the Jedi, and they designed theirs like 100% looks just like it. I thought that was really cool, and I could never get one. I know that they're also, you know, they'll end up costing quite a bit. TJ made one, and then I was like, it looks so cool, and he helped me make one. So he machined a piece or two for me, and this one is one of my all-time favorites, partially because, you know, it was a gift. Like, he didn't profit off this at all. He just sent me the hilt. I added the end cap to make it look like a switch protector swivel thing, and I did the weathering. I did the weathering and install and all that, but he machined, you know, the emitter to be a little bit more. The emitter is just awesome too. I really enjoy this emitter. Sorry, it's not the best lighting for you, but I thoroughly enjoy this saber so much. It's one of my favorites. It's super loud, and let's go ahead and fire this one up. Why not, right?
Sound effect selection.
Corellian. This is actually Corellian is by Genesis Custom Sabers. Rob designed this one himself, which is his Corran Horn sound font, which has a really cool force wave on it. It will activate and do the dual phase like I was talking. So the pitch will change, and it'll be like a lower pitched sounding saber. It's really cool. One of them is Corran Horn can drain the energy from blasters with a force. There it is. So that switches pitch, so the dual phase activates, the blade gets longer. And then it goes back to normal. I added some little preons and post-offs.
Selection.
One of my all-time favorite force waves. So much fun.
Sound effect selection.
Now, I had made a bunch of force waves on this, so there's a bunch of speeder bike noises. those are some that I've made. Some of my favorite ones that I have done and fully installed. Again, like I said, I have a lot of empty hilts, which I'm working on. Like this dude right here is one of my more favorite ones so far. It's a lot smaller of a hilt, but to me it looked like it held a lot of what a Corran Horn hilt would be like. This will be darker, a little black. Nothing too crazy, but I like it. I like the simplicity of it. I've got that one. This one a lot of people really do enjoy. This is, I'm probably going to take this black section down a little bit. We got your clap card there. But just pretty much anything that, like, okay, this is where it connects into the bike. This is the bike handle. There you go. You can use your imagination, because really the speeder bike aspect isn't even the emitter part. The emitter part he makes with like a suppressor for from a blaster and stuff like that. So like you can pretty much do whatever you want to, which is again part of the fun of making these sabers. I gotta weather these guys and make them dirty, because if you're making a Corran Horn saber, dirty it up, man. It's supposed to be a piece of junk. It's supposed to be nasty. I mean, but you can get pretty ridiculous with however you want to do it. You know what I mean? Like for me, I was like, this is. I was kind of thinking this was going to be really hideous, because I usually don't go pretty crazy with all the different greeblies and boxes and stuff like that. But I actually am starting to really enjoy this one. Again, this will be weathered up, heat stained, and all that stuff. But I thought that was really cool to have buttons. I gotta get smaller ones, because these ones are latching. I need momentary ones. Jeremy Moon actually showed me where to get some that are momentary, so they'll be fine. But I just kind of like the idea of that being like where it was, you know, like there's the handle, there's that. So just get crafty with it, man. Do whatever you want to do to make it look, you know, like inspired speeder bike can. So got those. I mean, this is the beginning of one that won't have anything there. You know, this guy will be there. Just let your imagination soar, man. There are people who, you know, make some awesome ones. Nevin, of course, you guys have all seen Nevin's. He's made quite a few for you guys, for the community. He makes quite a bit. Really cool looking ones. If you're lucky enough to snag one of those, get it. Nick Cohen makes some. I might be selling some in the future. We'll see. For those of you interested in, you know, learning more about Corran Horn and the speeder bike lightsaber handle, check out my group. I started a Facebook page, very small and private builders page, the Sons of Corellia. Is a kind of my play on Sons of Anarchy, because I was like, man, a speeder bike and a group, and then I was like, you know what? He's a Corellian, and I was just like Sons of Anarchy, and I was like Sons of Corellia. It just sounds so cool. Toot my own horn on coming up with that. Like I said, a small group of other people who love the hilt, and they build them. Jeremy Moon built some cool ones. You know, it's always fun to see other people's interpretation of, you know, a speeder bike handle, because again, it's whatever you want to do, have fun with it. And I think that's the coolest aspect of building them. I think that's what really attracts me to them, is no one can really say, hey, that's not a speeder bike handle. So I mean, dude, just yeah, man, have fun with it. It's always fun to find people who are like, hey man, I found this part. It's actually you know, a pipe fitting to a performance part, but I think it'll look cool on a bike handle. And I'm like, actually, yeah, that would look really freaking cool. I didn't think about that. It's really cool. It's a good place to share and get ideas and whatnot for your Corran Horn style speeder bike handle. There are other sound fonts out there. People probably ask me where I get the sound font in the video. Sabers Forever on Etsy has that one that I have. I know the Proplicator made one called Zoomer Bike, I believe. I haven't gotten that yet. There's speeder bike sound fonts out there. I just did the Pod Racer sound review for sound font review for Coverphonic, and that actually turned out pretty cool on my Corran Horn speeder bike. You got plenty of places to do it, man. You can pretty much make it out of anything. Let your imagination soar. Can't say that enough. You guys go over to Sons of Corellia, check out the page. I'm not the biggest on unknown. I think I said it's private, so you may have to be invited. But get somebody to invite you in there. Shoot me a message. I'll invite you in. That's all there is to it, man. Go out there and build yourself a speeder bike handle. Lightsaber. I mean, usually they do, depending on the speeder bike handle, it goes there. One that Nathan Barnes, speaking of which, Nathan Barnes does some really good ones too. He beat me to it. I wanted to do a brake handle that you hold down, and that would hit your auxiliary, and that would be that. Maybe one day, but he did it, and I was like, oh, my procrastination, like I wanted to do that. It was very cool. There's so many things you can do. Hopefully that helped you guys out. There's no wrong way to do it. Love to see them. I always love seeing these builds. Not as popular as I would imagine. Again, like I said, very small niche of builders and whatnot. But I want to see more. I want to see more Corran Horn style lightsaber hilts. I think they're very fun for me to do, and I think everyone would just enjoy, building one for themselves. So that'll do it for this, guys. I hope that was somewhat informative on the hilt for you. I know some people have had some questions on them, but yeah, go out there, build them. I want to see them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.
Who's scruffy looking?